Before the rise of Christianity, before the birth of Islam, or the enlightenment of the Buddha, there were faiths that once ruled the mountains, the rivers, and the hearts of humankind. Faiths now buried beneath sand, forgotten in stone, or lingering as whispers in our DNA. What if the religions that vanished thousands of years ago still echo through the beliefs we hold today? What if the prayers once offered in blood and fire never truly ended, they merely changed form? Welcome to Whispers of Lost World. I'm Noaman Rashid, and today we are not merely talking about religion. We're embarking on a journey through time, through civilizations long turned to dust, and through the human soul itself. By the end of this exploration, you will see how ancient religions shaped every modern faith, how forgotten gods once ruled continents, and why humanity's oldest prayers still beat beneath our modern hearts. So light your torch, traveler, because we're about to enter the oldest temples of human belief. The dawn of faith, when humans spoke to fire religion, did not begin in temples or scriptures. It began in fear, awe, and wonder. Over 100,000 years ago, our ancestors stood under a canopy of stars, surrounded by storms and predators, facing the vast unknown. They didn't yet know science or divine law, but they felt the presence of something greater, mysterious, powerful, and eternal. In the caves of Chavit, in France, and Altamira in Spain, early humans painted animals across stone walls, by mammoths, lions, believing these images held spiritual strength. To them, fire was sacred, thunder was divine, and death was a passage. The first priests were not kings, but shamans, painted in ash and blood, trembling before their visions. They were the bridge between human and spirit. Picture a tribe before the hunt, men and women in a circle beneath the moon, their breath visible in the cold air. The shaman chants, invoking the spirit of the bison. Every sound, every flicker of flame, carries the same hope: survival. Religion, at its birth, was not about salvation. It was about connection to nature, to ancestors, to the unseen. The gods of stone and river, Egypt, Sumer, and the cradle of civilization. As humans built the first cities, faith evolved from primal fear to structured worship. Around 4000 BCE, in the fertile valleys of Mesopotamia, the Sumerians erected towering ziggurats, stairways to the heavens. Their gods mirrored the forces of nature itself. Enlil, the god of wind and storms, giver and destroyer. Inanna, goddess of love and war, fierce and unpredictable. Enki, the god of water and wisdom, protector of humankind. Every drought, every flood, every harvest was an act of divine will. In the temples of Yoran Eridu, priests offered sacrifices not for personal salvation but for the survival of their people. Religion became statecraft, a contract between kings and gods. Meanwhile, along the Nile, faith became eternal. The Egyptians built their entire civilization around Mat, the cosmic balance of order and chaos, life and death. They believed that to live justly was to live in harmony with the universe. The gods, Ra, Osiris, Isis, and Anubis, represented every cycle of creation. When the sun rose, Ra was reborn. When it set, he descended into the underworld to battle darkness. Every heart would one day be weighed against a feather, the feather of truth. Imagine the Valley of the Kings under torchlight. Golden tombs glisten with painted prayers. Priests whisper chants to guide a pharaoh's soul across the afterlife. In Egypt, death was not an end. It was a continuation, an eternal rhythm between heaven and earth. For over 3,000 years, their religion bound the living and the dead in perfect symmetry. The forgotten pantheons, Greece, Rome, and the birth of philosophy. As civilization moved westward, the gods took on human form. In ancient Greece, religion transformed into myth stories that revealed divine emotion through mortal flaws. The Greek gods lived, loved, and sinned like humans. Zeus the Thunderer ruled from Olympus, yet was impulsive and jealous. Athena embodied wisdom and strategy. Ares the chaos of war. Aphrodite the seduction of love. These myths were not merely tales. They were mirrors of the human psyche. Through them, The Greeks explored courage, hubris, loyalty, and fate. But from within these myths arose a new kind of faith, one in reason. Philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle began questioning the nature of truth and divinity itself. If gods behaved like humans, could they truly be divine? The Greeks were the first to separate myth from morality, and in doing so, they laid the foundation for Western philosophy. The Romans, inheriting Greek culture, transformed faith into empire. They adopted the gods, but made religion a political weapon. Loyalty to Rome meant loyalty to Jupiter and Mars. Temples were symbols of power, and festivals were demonstrations of unity. Yet beneath the marble and incense, secret cults flourished to mystery religions. These offered what state religion could not: personal salvation in hidden caves and moonlit rituals. Initiates whispered sacred vows, awaiting rebirth. From these underground movements, a new faith would rise: Christianity. The sacred fires of the East, India, Persia, and the path of enlightenment. While the West looked to the heavens, the East turned inward. Around 1500 BCE, in the lands of the Indus and Ganges, the Vedic religion emerged, a faith of hymns, sacrifice, and cosmic law. Priests, or Brahmins, recited the Rig Veda, humanity's oldest sacred text. In price of Agni fire, Varuna, cosmic order, and Indra, the warrior of the storm. From these roots grew Hinduism, a vast spiritual philosophy built on the principles of karma, dharma, and reincarnation. The belief that the soul, or Atman, is eternal and part of the universal consciousness known as Brahman. Faith in India was not confined to temples. It was lived through duty, discipline, and understanding the cycles of existence. To the Hindu sage, the universe was not ruled by gods above, but by the divinity within every living being. In Persia, another spiritual revolution was taking shape. The prophets, Zarathustra, or Zoroaster, declared the existence of a single supreme deity, Ahura Mazda, the Lord of Light. Humanity, he said, was locked in an eternal struggle between truth and falsehood, good and evil. Zoroastrianism was the first religion to clearly define concepts of heaven, hell, angels, and judgment after death. Ideas later adopted by Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Meanwhile, in India once again, a prince named Siddhartha Gautama renounced luxury to seek truth. After years of meditation beneath a Bodhi tree, he attained enlightenment, becoming the Buddha. His realization was simple yet profound. Suffering exists, but it can end not through gods, but through understanding. Buddhism became a path of compassion, mindfulness, and self-awareness, spreading across Asia as a religion without dogma, yet rich in wisdom. They lost fights when the gods fell silent. Not all religions endured. In the cold north, the Norse worshipped Odin, Thor, and Freya, gods of battle and fate. Their temples were forests. Their prayers roared across mountains. To them, dying in battle was the highest honor, for it meant a seat in Valhalla, where heroes feasted eternally. Their scripture, the Havamol, taught courage. Fear not death, for the hour of your doom is set, and no one can escape it. But when Christianity swept across Scandinavia, the old gods fell. Their temples burned, their symbols outlawed, their priests silenced. Yet their myths survived in song and saga stories, whispered by skalds and carried by wind. Across Africa, countless indigenous faiths thrived long before written history. They worshipped ancestors, rivers, mountains, and spirits of the forest. Their rituals were dances, their prayers were drums, and their gods lived not in heaven, but in every living thing. Though colonization tried to erase them, many survive under new forms blended into Christianity and Islam, preserving Africa's spiritual heartbeat. In the Americas, the Maya, Aztec, and Inca civilizations built massive pyramids and temples aligned to the stars. They believed the universe ran on a delicate balance, maintained by the offering of life. Blood was sacred, the energy of the cosmos. To outsiders, these sacrifices seemed barbaric. To them, it was an act of divine duty, ensuring the sun would rise again. When European conquerors arrived, they crushed these civilizations, branding them heathens. But beneath the ruins, archaeologists still find altars, carvings, and symbols of a faith that viewed life, death, and time as an endless circle. The day the gods died, let's imagine one moment in history. It's the year 529 CE, in the sacred hills of Greece. The Temple of Apollo at Delphi, once the spiritual center of the ancient world, stands silent. For centuries, the oracle's voice guided kings and philosophers, but now her voice is faded. The sacred flame flickers low. The last priestess walks alone through marble corridors, past broken statues and dust-filled halls. She reaches the altar, whispers one final prayer, and extinguishes the fire that burned for 1,000 years. A monk records the event. The voice of the gods has fallen silent. That single act marked the symbolic death of the ancient world, when old faiths gave way to new creeds. Yet faith itself did not die. It evolved. Evolved. Look closely at modern religions, and you'll see traces of the ancients still alive. The church altar resembles the old fire pit. The halo echoes the sun's disk of Ra. Saints mirror forgotten deities. Even our holidays, Easter, Yule, and Halloween, rise from the roots of pagan ritual. Humanity cannot truly abandon its past. It simply reshapes it into new stories, new symbols, new gods. Summary: the eternal flame. Today, we walked through thousands of years of human belief. From the primal fear of thunder to the philosophical serenity of enlightenment, we witnessed the birth of religion in caves, its rise in empires, and its rebirth in silence. We saw how the dawn of faith taught us awe, how the civilized gods of Egypt and Sumer gave structure to society, how the thinkers of Greece and Rome birthed reason, how the spiritual revolutions of India and Persia turned the gaze inward, and how the lost pantheons still whisper beneath our modern prayers. Every faith, whether carved into stone or whispered in secret, is humanity's attempt to answer the same timeless question: why are we here? And that search, as old as fire, will never end. Call to action: the torch still burns. If this journey through forgotten faiths has awakened your curiosity, then join me on Whispers of Lost World. Subscribe to the channel, share this video, and keep this flame of discovery alive. Each week, we uncover the buried truths of ancient civilizations, decode lost symbols, and remind you that the past still breathes beneath our feet. Tell me in the comments, which ancient religion do you think shaped our modern world the most? And as always, my friends, keep your torch lit, because the past is never truly dead.